This video is going to be all about an exterior reface that my brother Rick just did on his house. And we're going to show you the process, tell you what materials we used, and maybe Rick can give you a little more insight on what we're going to be talking about.
Well, this house I built about 35 years ago, and I've performed outside maintenance on it 3 times in 35 years. Most recently, of course, was the 3rd time. But this time, I took and spent a little more money to buy some product that hopefully I'll never have to do any kind of maintenance on the upstairs portion of the house. I don't mind doing maintenance on the first 8 foot, but once it leaves that, you start getting into where you need lifts or really tall ladders, and I'm not doing ladders anymore.
We're just too old for that.
I'm too old for it, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah. And he enlisted the help of me, my brother, his wife. We were all available, thankfully, to help him out, and it made it go a lot quicker.
Oh, I'd still be out here fussing and carrying on if I didn't have the help,
Yeah, and that lift was, the key.
Yeah. I looked at it as the cost of the lift for a month was like hiring a helper for 1 whole month, and that was the most valuable. I mean, y'all were valuable too, but that was a very valuable helper. We all can agree with that.
Yeah.
And just remember, if you do rent one of those lifts, make sure that you're tethered to it. You do not want to fall off of the roof.
All right, so here we go. We're going to show you the process. Stick with it to the end because you're going to learn a lot along the way.
Yeah. Okay, I built this house 35 years ago. It's logged by Appalachian Log Structures here in West Virginia. But the upstairs part is board and batten, and got a lot of problems with wood-boring bees and insect infiltration in through the tongue and groove tuberosix at the top. So what I've done is I've bought a product called TruLog, and all of the soffit on the upstairs part will be TruLog board and batten, and all of the fascia here will be TruLog. Got a JLG 50-foot lift that is priceless. Groundman, that's my brother Dwayne. He's my cut man, and of course my sister Deb. Yeah, she's gonna be up in the bucket with me. So we're getting ready to get at it this morning. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys. See that right there? That's where these daggone wood-borne bees get in. They get in a hole like that, but then the woodpeckers come along and they do that. That's why I'm putting an end to these stupid things. This is a very good wood-borne bee killer. I love killing them with this brake clean. They just cannot handle the toxicity of it. So I used a little straw, stick it in there, just like that, and I give them a little shot. I heard a guy on television one time, he said, they won't hurt anything, but they tear your house up. They'll eat your house down. They'll tear your house down. Because then the woodpeckers come and they'll beat it up. I've had enough of it.
Costing you how much to remedy this?
It was $10,000 to get all of the metal that does all the soffit here, plus it does the siding here. But you'll see we've already got the south wall done on the house, and it looks awesome. Bugs, they can't do nothing against that metal.
All right, so we're on day what, Rick?
14.
Day 14 of this process. I don't know what you want to call it.
It's just an upper house reface.
We just had our job briefing, so we are getting ready to get after it. We still have 2 devil peaks to go. That's what I've kind of named them, because they are the devil. Yeah, it's right up there. Yeah. If you wanted to pan up, yeah, it's that little teeny piece right there. Very difficult to get into there. Every piece is cut on both ends, a 312 on the top and 912 on the bottom. And at 59 years old, it is very hard on me. I am bruised from head to toe. It's awful. But anyway, we're just about there. I can't say enough about the TruLog system because it has made it easier as far as applying the product up there, even though I'm uncomfortable. So, brother, sister.
Yeah.
We're all about to get after it, and Carla,
my wife,
Rick's wife, she's going to be after it again today with us, so let's get at it.
So what we're going to do first is we're going to put Tyvek behind this metal so that we got a vapor barrier. I am not wallering up here any more than I have to. It's really a lot of fun in here trying to get in this here. Oh, God. I need a stapler. Oh, yes. It's really fun to do this if you got about a 15-mile-an-hour wind. It just makes it even that much more pleasurable when you're by yourself. Oh, shit.
We've got Rick tethered to the lift. So if he goes sliding off the roof, we'll catch him.
When you're working in awkward positions, you have to use every part of your body to get this done. You can use the leg as a sawhorse like that. See how I do that? Isn't that awesome? And so you have to be creative.
So Rick, what have you done for a living all your life?
Well, currently I've actually got an office job, believe it or not, but most of my life I've spent out here working with my hands. I built metal buildings for a while, but then I'm a 30-year lineman now, high voltage electrical lineman.
Let me see your resume.
Right there's my resume, just like old, what's his name on?
Homestead Restaurant.
Yeah, Rainey. Yeah, me and Rainey got the same kind of resume right there. Look at that. When TruLog sends the material to you, one good thing about it is they put it in a nice wood crate. Everything came, there was no damage to any of the material. Everything was packaged nice. All the panels had a sheet of this paper in between each panel to keep you from scratching, you know, one panel to the other. Real pleased with the way that they packaged their material. Just a little tip that we learned. We've used several different ways to cut this material. What we found to be best, we tried snips. We used a circular saw with a metal cutting blade on it. But we found that these bimetal jigsaw blades that are for thin metal, so it's a 64 to 3/16 with this saw, works awesome. We are able to get really good clean cuts. You want to make sure that when you do cut, you cut from the back side here so that you don't damage any of the face of the metal.
So what I have here is a quick square, or whatever they call it. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, it has all different kind of measurements on it. It's kind of confusing on what to read. But what we're doing today, we're doing a common pitch. So this is your pivot point. So I have my measurement to how tall it is where it overlaps. So we have a 9/12 pitch. So here's my pivot point. I'm going to pivot until I hit the 9 on the edge, so I got a straight line, and that gives me my 9/12 pitch.
What I'm doing here is I'm just putting these little backer rods in here, just as another way to make it in case a bug gets in there. He has a hard time getting on down into here and building nests. This is the lock. It locks in behind here. So when you put these in, you just bring it up into your J channel like that. Lay it against the house. Kind of push back here, and it's just a tap, and it'll lock right in. I make these blocks. They're 6 3/4 of an inch wide. I put a little magnet back here to keep me from losing them all the time. And you just stick them in there, and now it's all spaced even. Periodically, you need to check for level. Make sure you're running plumb. If you're not, you know, just do a little bit of adjustment, whatever you got to do to keep everything looking like it's straight up and down. As you can see, we're using the same kind of material for the soffit as we are for the siding, so it all locks together.
There's our mascot.
Teddy.
Teddy.
Here. These are fast cap tapes. They're pretty nice. So you can read left to right. So you can read your numbers from this side. And if you turn it around, you can read your numbers from this side. So that's pretty neat about them. They also serve as a scratch pad, so you can write your numbers down. And then you can just Wipe it off. And it's got a pencil sharpener in it. And you just sharpen your pencil. Pretty neat. So once I get a piece that's cut, I take where they lock together, and then it gives me a measurement. So this one will be 52 and 9/16, but I add a 16th to allow for overlap. So this one will be 52 and 5/8. And then I just make myself a note. 52 and 5/8 will be the next cut. So now we're doing the peak. So I've already got one 9/12 cut, and Rick has told me that the top of the peak is at 48 and 3/16. So I measure 48 and 3/16. And then what I do is I give me a straight line. All right. And then instead of this becoming my pivot point or my mark for my 9/12, I'm going to do it, make this the point I want to come to. So 9/12, and I can see here that it's not going to make it, so I need to come on down a little further. 9/12, extend my mark, and I come to my line where my line intersects the old peak. That's how you do that.
All right, so what we're doing now is I'm trying to fill this space right here, because I do not want any kind of bug infiltration up in here. So what we're doing is I'm putting these pieces on here. They'll go right here, this J channel, and then the soffit and everything will come down here like this, and this will all be protected with metal. And then the fascia will go over, it'll come down and go over this, and no bugs can infiltrate. That's why we're doing this. It's basically just a filler. I'm sticking this one up in here. I measure to the bottom of these beams because they're all different. And then when I cut it, I will add an inch to that so that it lets me get this piece down here so that I can have something to tuck it under. Yeah, so these are going to be the overlappers. I want you to remove this 2 inches here. You'll remove 2 inches here. You'll remove the X.
What was the one before? 4 1/8?
4 1/8.
Okay.
Next one is 3 7/8.
It doesn't take you very long to figure out that if you're working under low levels like this and you can hit your head, that you need to put something on your head to protect your head. So I put my hard hat on. It's one of my old hard hats, back when I was doing a lot of line work. You can see these beams, they're not sitting in here actually true. They're not 90 degrees. So I'm keeping all this here according to the way the beams are, and I'll just cut the panel so that everything fits nice and snug. So here we are, last day of putting up metal, and I ran short on J channel. So I did a count on my siding, and I realized I got several boxes of extra siding. So rather than ordering J channel, I decided to make some J channel out of some of the old panels. So what I did was I took the panels and I ripped this off of here, and then I ripped it here. And then I took this inside piece up to a buddy of mine's who's got a sheet metal brake, and we broke some J channel. All Last bend. These measurements are the same as you get from the factory. This is a little long here, but it's not a big deal because, you know, it's a J channel. It gets covered by the sheeting either way you put it. So that's a piece of homemade J channel that I made this morning. Day 21, last piece of soffit. Put up. A little bit of wall from right there to there, and all the siding will be up. Last panel. So this is the finished, this is the very first side of the house that I did. When I started, I took all that old board and batten off up there. The soffit and the siding is TruLog board and batten siding. The logs had been weathered and they were in some pretty bad shape as far as needing some attention, so I chinked all of the huge cracks with, I used biker rod foam, and then I used this special chinking for log homes to seal it all up. And then finally it got a coat of bare extreme weather natural cedar finish on the exterior. So it's been, well, I had the lift rented for 4 weeks, 28 days. But all of the upstairs portion of the house, including pressure washing the metal roof, is complete.
So we hope you've learned something throughout this video. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them below, and Rick or I could answer those for you.
Yeah.
And again, the TruLog system, I'll have a link in the description for TruLog. This is not an endorsed video, but we just believe in the product that much.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something, and maybe go check this one out next, and we'll see you next time.